So another detail here in the backup is, although I do want him to respond to my hand, the more hand pressure I have, the more pressure I put with my voice or my leg, I want him to increase that speed and that cadence without resisting, without stiffening up. But also, very important at this stage is when I ask, the demand for the backup, the cue to backup, comes from me sitting in my pocket and a slight pressure pushing down with my heels. This is what is telling him to back up. My hands are only what is helping him doing it right and showing him how to do it right. Okay? And so when I release, this is the reward that says you're doing it right. But that doesn't mean stop doing it, because I'm still asking you to do it, because I'm still sitting deeper a little bit in my pocket, and I'm opening my thighs and pressing down with my heels. So this is what my cue is, because down the road I want my horse to stop with this cue here. Okay, I don't want to have to use hands. If you have to use hands all the time to stop, then what you're doing is eventually your horse is going to put more attention on what's going on here and for what he's doing here. The less hand you have to use for them to stop and back up, the more you know your horse is focusing on the right parts of his body. So don't be so quick into using your hands. Always allow your horse the time to think about what it is, the cue, where it's coming from your seat, from your body, and that give them the time to feel that and react to that before you make them do it. Then after that, you can make them do it and help them and say, here, this is what you need to do. And when they do it right, you release, but that doesn't mean quit doing it. That means keep doing it. And then you can relax your legs, go back to neutral, and that means, okay, now you can stop doing it. So very important to always be very, very clear and be subtle with your cue. Like don't open your legs too wide or put too much pressure in your stirrup. You want them to feel just that very subtle movement, and you want them to react to that. And I think that if you jerk your legs out and put too much pressure in your stirrup, I think the horse is often the mirror of its own rider. So and by doing that, I feel you kind of stress yourself out. You sort of disconnect you from where you are connected here in the saddle. So the cue should come from here. After that, a slight pressure in the stirrup, but not pushing into those stirrups. This is what the origin of the cue is. Then you can increase that pressure in the stirrup as you go in order to help them feel what you originally asked them. But then as soon as you have a movement, you got to go back to asking them with simply sitting more in your pockets, light pressure down, and wait until they react. As soon as you have a reaction, reward, and then you can help them doing a little bit better, be a little more picky on how they do it. But you definitely want them to pay attention to the slightest cue possible, and so that cue comes from the first slight movement that you do with your body when you first start asking them to do what it is you want them to do. So here's kind of fine-tuning that cue where I'm not too focused on or too worried about how he does it or how he reacts, but mostly just that at least I get a reaction over that little whisper of a cue, and then I can ask him to do it a little better. There. Good. Once we have what we want, we feel we got some progress made, that we've done some exercise and repeated that exercise over and over until we have a positive response, we make sure we reward. See, my horse here just took a deep breath. That's the conclusion of that exercise. He's assimilated whatever we just worked on, and I'm gonna record that into his mind with a quick left and right flexion, and put everything back into balance, into zero, where it was from where I started. And now I know that I accomplished this short exercise with success, and down the road, which is when we're gonna start to work the backup with a little bit more difficulty and a little bit more technicality and controlling more the body, what it's doing, and then eventually using it as a training tool, then we need to have repeated this over and over and over until it's done super easily and effortlessly, and that there's absolutely no doubt in the horse's mind where he needs to go when we add pressure. Okay, and so that only comes from having it done and repeated a million times the right way. And so let's get after it.